Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday late afternoon, July 23rd, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And another week has passed, and I know it's been hard on a lot of people, and I totally understand. And this will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube, where we're going to go over climate-related items this week, and we'll look at methane and sea ice and earthquakes and things like that. So, like I said, I'd like to welcome everyone to the show. And let's see, we had 105 degrees here in the Reno area yesterday. Now, last Sunday got up to 108, and we tied our all-time record high of 108 last weekend. And it's been getting hotter on the weekends and cooling off a little bit during the week, where the high was mid to upper 90s instead of over 100. But anyway, it's hot, and I'm just trying to acclimate to it, and you can, to a certain extent, kind of acclimate yourself, but it takes time, and after it gets past a certain point, you just can't acclimate, because the wet bulb temperature is so high that your body can't cool down. But anyway, that's what we're dealing with, and I want to go ahead and start on Climate Reanalyzer. Here we are on maximum temperatures around the planet today, and so we've got greens all the way across the Arctic, and here's a little bit of aqua. It's a little cooler, but the greens are above freezing, and the dark green, like on this east edge, this is on the east side of the east side of the ice. That's about 5 degrees C. And we've got reds here up in Canada and Alaska, and also northern Siberia. And Greenland is in the middle of a heat wave, and they've had exponential melting for the last month or so, and I've been reporting on that. I track it daily. And here in the US, we've got whites going all the way up almost to the Canadian border, and whites are like 40 degrees C or higher, which equates to 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. And so it's coming down through the Midwest, and on the west side also California is filled up with whites. We've got parts of Nevada in the white, Arizona, Texas, and so on. Here's the flat global view, and here in Brazil are some whites. Northern Africa, also going across Central Africa and the Congo, that's heating up with whites. And we've got whites coming from Spain across southern Europe here, and here across the Mediterranean, Saudi Arabia, Middle East, up into Kazakhstan, and over into northern India and China, and even northwestern China. They've got whites, and eastern China too. Here's 2 meter temperature anomaly, and Let's see, we've just got a little bit of tan coming across some of the Arctic Ocean, but it's mainly on the coastline. I mean, where it's around the coast, and Siberia, all of Alaska, northwest Canada. This is where the majority of the fires just keep raging here in Canada. I'm thinking because the area that's burning is known as the tar sands, and so once that catches on fire, forget about putting that out, just because of the composition of the land. Greenland is in the browns, northeast Canada is brown, and then we got blues in the middle, and then browns on the west side, and browns coming across Russia, and then blues. So, you know, the colder than normal right next to the warmer than normal, and this is just classic with the dysregulation of the climate. And see the blues from Norway all the way over into western Russia here. We've got browns across South America, dark brown in southern Brazil. Here in the Antarctic, we're still seeing reds on this western peninsula, but the rest of the continent has gone down. Here's our overview worldwide. We're at 0.84 C, higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1.11 C. The Arctic is up 1.37 C. The Antarctic is down. This is 0.91 C, lower than normal. Southern hemisphere is up 0.58 C. The tropics are at 0.91 C. So these tropics, these have been up for a while. So they're ranking right up with the worldwide and northern hemisphere, moving up towards the Arctic region, like where that is too. So there's that. I just tuned into the local weather briefly just now, and looks like our high today was 104. So there you have it. Hot weather. Okay, precipitation and clouds. Now we've got rain, a lot of rain showing up here in the Arctic region. We've had rain and snow on Greenland this week. That's what has made the Greenland melt just jump up. Like the highest was at 52% earlier this week, and it's still like on a constant melt. Once it started melting, and then the temperatures are high, it's just on a constant melt. We've also got rain. This is green, the rain, just above Canada, over the Arctic Basin. This is really bad because this is where our thickest sea ice is located, and it's already broken away from the coastline, so the fast ice is not there anymore, meaning, you know, it's hooked on. So there are lots of holes, and you know, within the rain on top of it, so that'll make this thickest and thicker ice area be deteriorating even more. We've got rain-snow mix up here in this East Siberian Sea. That also will cause melting of the sea ice, and then snow coming across in an arc here. And it's raining at Iceland today as well. And here's the flat view for the globe. And of course, as things are heating up, we'll have more and more rain in the Arctic rather than snow. And also with the melting of the Greenland ice sheet, it changes the weight on the tectonic plates, and more Arctic earthquakes happen as well. And here are the jet pieces, what used to be the jet stream. And we've got lots of little loops going on, one right after another up here. So instead of just waviness, it's wavy and loops. So I don't know what to say about that. Here's the flat view. Here's the Atlantic. Here's the Pacific. Got the same thing going on here in the southern hemisphere with the wavy and the loops. Look at these. That's like I said, I don't know what to say about that. And we'll look at sea ice and snow cover in a second. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. We're still setting records on the sea surface temperature. This is for Saturday. Yesterday, we're seeing browns come in more in this Arctic Ocean wherever the ice is melted. It's had just a little bit of time for it to heat up. We're seeing it heat up all around the coastlines here. Also in the North Baffin Bay, here around Svalbard, around Novaya Zemlya. And we've got red and pink here in the Kara Sea, and that's 5 and 6 degrees C higher than normal. And here around Greenland, we've got the blues and even into the light lavenders, and that's colder than normal. And this is because of the runoff from the melting ice from Greenland that's running off, and it's causing colder than normal water on the west side and the east side. But see, just south, it's up high again. And then look at this huge area in this North Atlantic. It's a humongous evil eye that's just following the North American coast around here from like New Hampshire, Maine, all the way up along the Canadian coastline. And it's a humongous, like I said, evil eye area moving into reds and pinks. So it's a huge area. Normally we don't see this much in that high in that high of a temperature. Here in the Hudson Bay, we're getting browns. These Great Lakes, they're moving into the browns. This eastern seaboard off the U.S. has got a ridge of dark brown. The Gulf of Mexico is all moved into dark browns. And it's also brown on the west side of Mexico and Central America. This whole area is in the browns. Also in this Gulf of California next to Baja, that's all in the browns now. There's still some blues in the Pacific off the west coast of the U.S. Here's this evil eye in the northeast Pacific. And you can see red going across the Mediterranean there. Here's the flat view. This Atlantic is all brown, different shades of brown coming all the way down. And the Mediterranean is filled up with reds and to dark browns now. The Black Sea is filled up with dark brown. The Caspian Sea is filling up with brown. Persian Gulf is all brown. The Red Sea is in the process of filling up with brown. And here the Indian Ocean, it's mainly in tan color. Here's the Pacific view. So here's this northeast evil eye. Here's like, this is like an arc of red coming across. So it's kind of a half evil eye, but it's kind of spread out over the central and north central and northwest Pacific. We've got pinks next to Japan. We've got reds and browns up here in the CFO coast. And then down here, still reddish brown next to South America, and then this straight line straight across at the equator coming across the Pacific in browns. So El Nino is definitely setting in as we're seeing these ocean temperatures heat up. Then we've got browns in the South Pacific, around New Zealand and Australia here too, and coming all the way up to the ice edge in the Antarctic. So there's that. Now, we've got a couple of deviations in our report today. First of all, CAMS, the latest methane data on CAMS is from Wednesday, the 19th, and for whatever reason they haven't posted anything newer than that. And here I'll even refresh and make sure. No, Wednesday, it defaults to the latest. And you can also look here on date or base time. It's got only one day available, which is Wednesday. So that's all we've got. And they do this periodically. I don't know why. I don't know if the person who tracks and posts this is on vacation, or if they're examining the data more, or what. But periodically the methane postings get held up along with the carbon dioxide postings. And then once they start putting the data up, they start putting it up real fast, and you have to catch it right within a few hours after they put it up, or it could just fall off if it's really, really old. So as soon as they start putting new data up, I'll be recording that and posting that on my Subscribe Star channel. So we will look at the Wednesday methane data for CAMS now, but I've been tracking the NOAA methane data, and so their latest data is from yesterday, the 22nd. We're starting here with the MET-OP-B satellite in the morning, 1,000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1,845 parts per billion. We can see there's data here in the northern hemisphere now. It was like a month where it was all just grayed out up here, meaning QC fail for whatever reason. So about a month for the MET-OP-B satellite, it was not correct data, or what they had was incomplete, so it didn't give us accurate readings overall. In the afternoon, the mean was 1844. On the MET-OP-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1844. In the afternoon, the mean was 1845. And then moving to the 487 millibar level, MET-OP-B in the morning, the mean was 1924. The high reading was 2400. In the afternoon, the mean was 1927. The high reading was 2389. And MET-OP-C, and I'm tracking this one separately as well. In the morning, the mean was 1891. The high reading was 2228. And see these pinks down here in the southern hemisphere. So the high range, the pink ranges anywhere from 2,000 parts per billion to whatever's the highest number. And in this case, peaked out at 2228. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1893. And the high reading was 2242. And we've got even more pinks down here. This is in the South Pacific, coming up to the Antarctic coastline here and over the Weddell Sea, and then further up, this is over the Brunt Ice Shelf and also over the interior. So we're seeing higher readings further south there. So I'm going to start here with showing you just the MET-OP-C satellite readings for the 487 millibar. Remember, I broke this out because that seemed to be the most accurate, so that to not mix in that MET-OP-B data that was incomplete. So we ended the week, the 22nd averaged out to be 1892.0, and that gives us an increase this week of 2 parts per billion. And so here's the line up there. And so we're on a steady increase now. And this is that we're into the heating season on the methane rise. It'll keep going up until usually around sometime in October. We'll max out and then it'll start going down. So I'll show you what happened this week. Here we were in our show last week. We ended at 1890, and that was a weekly decrease of just like half a part per billion, 0.5. So just a slight decrease. And then that was on the 15th. So the 16th went up 1.5. 17th, no change. 18th, it went up 0.5. 19th, up 0.5. 20th, no change. 21st, it's a kind of a sharp decrease of 2.0. Then the 22nd, it went back up 1.5, giving us an overall increase this week of 2.0. Now, for all four readings, for the 487 millibar, we ended at 1908.75 for the week, and that gave us an increase this week of 1.25. So here's where it's going up. And what I did, because this is unusual to see it drop off like this in the middle of the heating season, and this, so I highlighted the weeks where we had the incomplete data, and it was for about a month from May 20th until June 20th or so. And I highlighted that and put that in green, and then down here I put a note and I put time period May 20th to June 20th, 23, missing data on the Met-Op-B satellite, denoting mostly gray or QC fail for the northern hemisphere, thus showing a false decrease and then sharp increase on 6/21/23 when data was restored. Because see, on that one day where it came back, where it first came back, look at this increase of 8.75 in one day. I mean, we just don't have that. So, and see, it showed an increase for the week of 13.75, and that's about how much it goes up in 1 year. So we know that's not correct, and I was showing that on my weekly shows, but I just wanted to show you how I've documented that now, so that I have an explanation here, so that if someone sees this, they'll see I have an explanation as to why this did this. This is not accurate, but this is the data they gave us. And same thing on the 1000 millibar level. See where it started dropping down in May, and then all at once it just shot up. That's where it came back. So same thing over here. So anyway, for the week, with the 4 readings on 1000 millibar level, the 22nd averaged out to be 1844.5, and that was a slight increase for the week of 0.25. So not much. We're about the same as where we ended, or where we started the new model here at the end of, or the beginning of, end of October. October 29th was the beginning, see, of the new model, which was right at the beginning of the cooling season. It had gone down just, I don't know how much. It had gone down just a tiny bit from where we maxed out. So surface level is different than when you get up to 487. millibar, 500 millibar. That's about halfway up in the atmosphere. And so methane doesn't stay at the surface very long. It's a real light gas, and it shoots right up to the upper layers of the atmosphere. And it hangs around at certain levels and at certain areas. It likes the colder air to hang around at rather than the warmer air when it gets up in the atmosphere. So that's just a little recap of why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them, and why this the one where I broke out the Met-Op-C readings, that's the one that we can really compare with our previous years, because I was tracking Met-Op-C then too. So it's on the rise. Alright, so here we are on CAMS, Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services out of the EU methane forecast. And our base time and valid time are both for Wednesday, July 19th, starting on Arctic area and surface level. And I showed this, I've already showed this data on my midweek update. No, wait, it was the day after, but I've already shown this data for my Subscribe members. If you're interested in being part of that, my Subscribe page, that's where I post everything daily, what I'm tracking, and my reports and everything. And because I'm not on Facebook, I don't post on Twitter anymore. I mean, I still have a Twitter account, but I just don't post there anymore. And I've got YouTube, and I've got Subscribe, and I've got my BitChute channel where I post. But if you want the latest, you need to join my Subscribe page for $5 a month, and that helps support the costs of doing this, and just, you know, to kind of keep me going a little bit. Because I'm not monetized on YouTube. I don't make any money off of this. So this is more a labor of love than anything. So here we are. And so the data is for Wednesday, and the forecast period is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we can see Compsomolets is really billowing on the verge of hemorrhaging there, as it's at the beginning there. Also, Norway over into Russia has come back to life, filling up. The interior part of Russia is filling up as the days progress there. As things are heating up, this permafrost is thawing out and releasing methane. There are more and more fires burning. The majority of them in Russia are in eastern and southern Siberia, but you've got them over here too, near Yakutia, this area. And then Alaska, so you've got it high in the interior. This is typical in the summertime. Also at Koktovik, that's still high. We've got our problem spot off the coast of Newfoundland, and this is in that area where the evil eye is in the North Atlantic for sea surface temperature anomaly. So we got high methane too. And then here, Canada, this is from the tar sands region and up and down. This is where the majority of the fires are burning. And it's constant. They can't put that out. And then down here, south of the Hudson Bay, around there, here's North Dakota. Here in the U.S., we're not having as much methane around the coastlines because we haven't had rain. But we've got it high, see, up in the upper Midwest and coming across. That's where the highest readings are. And also, see, California is filling up too, West Texas, etc. And then here's the North Pole view, and we can see most of the northern hemisphere from this vantage point. Here's the UK, Ireland, they're filled up. Germany, you're filled up. France, you're getting some hot spots on the east side. And then across here, Persian Gulf, still high. India, you're filling up further south. Here's China, Korea, it's going up here into Russia there. Here's Mexico, South America. This top part of South America is always high from the equator up. It's so humid there, and it's so hot too because it's on the equator. So that'll do a lot of methane. So now we'll go to the global view. So here we're see this lighter blue or aqua kind of. This is 1860 parts per billion. See, 1860. This darker blue is 1840, and so the 1840 was the main background color. We're getting more coming in on the 1860, creeping further south. It's coming across the Arctic too. So that's another sign. As methane is increasing, you'll see these background colors going up as well, going up into the next range. Australia, you've got high methane on this east side. And so on. Down here, see this coming off of South America, got it streaming. some higher readings when you get into the greens up there. We're getting these greens now creeping in further south. See, this is moving into greenish tinge here in the Pacific. It used to be more of a demarcation, but anyway, everything's heating up. Then we'll look at 500 HPA. And here's the heaviest. See the dark. See, it's breaking up from over the Arctic and moving further south with the highest readings. And then we've got reds further south too. Look, even south of Australia, south of Africa. I mean, these reds are coming way further south. And yellows, remember we never saw yellows down on this bottom part of the screen. We would see greens, but not yellows. So this is an indication of higher methane as well. Everything's shifting. Then total column. This is where the methane levels are added up through all the layers of the atmosphere, and this is where you have the highest readings for this. This is awful. Look at this. From Saudi Arabia, it's a wide band coming across over across India, Southern Asia, up through China, and then this string coming out across Japan and out over the Pacific. So that's a wide band, a big area where we're seeing the highest reading, and that's a range. See the range, and this chart changes when you change levels. So that's 1920 to 2,320 parts per billion. That's total column. That's that range. So there's that. And now a couple more things off of CAMS. Here's sulfur dioxide today, and we've been seeing big releases here in the North Pacific, originally connected with that 7.2 earthquake at Sandpoint, Alaska, and there was a volcanic eruption that went along with that caused extra sulfur dioxide coming up. And then we've seen other sulfur dioxide coming up further east that I think was related to plate movement, the Pacific plate and the Juan de Fuca plate, and that's all kind of dissipated and smeared out, and so now we have a higher background reading across the northern hemisphere. Now the highest readings are right here over Mexico, from mainly Popocatépetl volcano, and there are other volcanoes going off down here too. That's the highest reading. Here it is at 500 HPA, and so with volcanoes, it shoots it up in the atmosphere, and it's a blobby. See, it looks like a blob. That's the signature for volcano. Here's the ozone reading over the Antarctic today, and we've got a danger zone hole opening up just west of this west side, and this kind of purplish blue. That is, the range is 200 to 220 Dobson units, and that's considered in the danger zone with the black line around it. The next color up is the aqua. We have a lot of aqua coming across, and then greens over the rest of the Antarctic. And it is dark. It's nighttime down there. It's winter time down there, and we've got the ozone hole forming as the winter progresses down there. Here's the Arctic reading for ozone, and we've got, see the greens, these are holes opening up over the Arctic. This is over the Beaufort Sea, and then here over the East Siberian Sea, and here Alaska and Canada, and then over here in the Barents Sea, and then over here over western US. And these are areas where a lot of smoke has come up, and smoke will kill off the ozone layer. Also, high methane will kill it off or make holes in the ozone layer. Sulfur dioxide will also make holes. So here's the flat view, and we can see it just stays in the greens around these mid-latitudes year-round. So it's a year-round thin. If you want to call it a hole, you can. I mean, it's below normal. The solid yellow is 300 Dobson units, and that's considered to be a good reading. Anything below that is below average. And here's the smoke today. This is this was the North Pole view. What am I doing? Trying to zoom in. And see, it's really heavy over northern Canada and moving up over the Arctic Ocean too, and then down, see, sliding down on a diagonal over the US, and the cloud is swooping way far south, but the heaviest is up right around the Canadian border there. And then here in Russia, we've got smoke here. This is southern Siberia. It spreads out, and then more smoke up here on north. That's East Siberia here. And see, it's coming out over this East Siberian Sea and across. So whenever you've got smoke over ice, the ash is going to be falling down, and then if it rains or snows, it's also like acid rain or snow, and so all of that will cause the ice to melt faster, and plus the ash creates a dark coating on the ice, and so the albedo is less, and so it's not reflecting as much sunlight, and so it absorbs more heat and thus melts more. So it's there's this feedback loop. Here's the global view. I've got to rotate. Here we go. See? So that's what the fires look like so far, and we've got fires down here kicking up now in Central Africa and Congo, and there's smoke from there. And we're not seeing smoke from South America, which is kind of unusual. Normally we see a bunch of fires and smoke from down there. So there's that. Okay, now we'll move on to the sea ice portion. And we're going to start with our slideshow from Climate Reanalyzer. And I download these images every day, and so I can show them to you and have a record. So here we are. This is today. This is sea ice and snow cover. And Hudson Bay is virtually open. There's just a little wisp at the southern part. The Baffin Bay is virtually open. These tributaries, we're seeing a lot of open water in those tributaries now. It's still in the melting phase. This Beaufort Sea is collapsing. A lot of it is open water now. You can see here, we'll zoom in a little more. And Chukchi Sea, same thing. There's a Bering Strait that's open. Sea of Oak Coast is open. This Russia coastline is all open now. And you see the dark areas. This is where it's melting in and losing concentration, coming apart. Got areas of open water between the ice cubes. So the darker it is, the worse the ice is, worse shape the ice is in. And then up here in this East Siberian Sea, got a big hole here, and opening up. This is collapsing. This north part is collapsing. This Laptev Sea has opened up around the coastline, pretty far out. And Kara Sea is open. Novaya Zemlya is open. The North Kara Sea still has some ice. There's a little finger here in the North Barents Sea, just next to Franz Josef Land, and a little extent coming out between Franz Josef Land and Svalbard. And then this east side is melting in really fast. There's a big hole just east of Greenland, and we've also got melting going on, like I said, all along this Canadian coastline, and which is bad because this is where the thickest ice and the multi-year ice, what we have left of it, that's where its home is, all along here. And so when that starts going, then it's easier for everything else to start coming apart. Now I'll take you through the slideshow. Here we were last Sunday, and we'll see what happened. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, big change there. Thursday, look at that. Look at this from Wednesday to Thursday. Look how this Chukchi Sea opened up. Friday, Saturday, and here we are today. And you'll see holes open up and then they close up. This is typical, especially when you've got kind of thin, mushy ice, and a hole will open up with the ice drift one day and then it closes back up because the way it's drifted the next day. Okay, moving on to Greenland. We're starting here. This is the latest data. This is for yesterday, the 22nd. And, Jason Box, he's an Arctic climatologist, and he kind of focuses on Greenland. He just put a video out about the July melting on Greenland, and so I recommend that. But he was saying this is really unprecedented. And he'll calculate like how much water is running off and all of that. He hasn't done it yet. He just did a preliminary report. I think it put it up today. So here we are, and you can see the melting going further inland and across here and down all the way to the south and melting around here. It's been raining and snowing here, and once you get it started and then you have the warm air temperatures, it doesn't stop from one day to the next. It just keeps thawing or melting. Here are the cumulative melt days so far this year. The white area is getting smaller, and this is the area where there's been no melt at all, not even one day for the year. And we can see that this is closing in. The light blue, even one little dot of light blue, that's one day of melting. And we're seeing on this west side, we're moving into greens and yellows, and that's 40 to 50 days of melt for the year so far, and greens up here at the north end. Here's the extent chart. And so this blue dotted line is the median, and the median for right now is about, would be right down here, would be about 15% melt. And we're just a nudge above 50% melt for the 22nd. And the day before that, it was about 48% melt. The day before that was the highest up here at 52% melt. And so, see, this started at the end of June, it peaked out. It just, it was just right at 50% here, and so it hasn't gone. I mean, it's just dropped, just like for a day or two at a time. Then it's jumped back up, and so the lowest it's gotten since then has been about 25% one day, and then it jumped back up to 50% the next day, and then here for one day it was at 30%. So according to this chart, it peaks out around mid-July, and then the trend, it slows down to end of September. End of September, the melt stops by October. So we'll see. We're in uncharted territory here, more ways than one. And so because of this, there's a lot of extra water going into the ocean. That's why we saw the colder than usual temperatures on the sea ice there. I mean, it's the sea surface temperature. Okay, the Navy did get their act together, and their latest data here is for yesterday, the 22nd. Yesterday, so this is Arctic sea ice thickness. And so this corresponds to what we saw on Climate Reanalyzer with Hudson Bay open with just a little wisp down here. Baffin Bay is virtually open. When you see this light lavender, I mean, this is just so thin and so wispy. I mean, I don't think they should even count it, but they do. I mean, this is down. I mean, you're like just above zero. Just above zero there. Here's this hole next to Greenland, and real thin on this east side. And the bright aqua is a thin band just above this part of the Canadian archipelago and coming across Greenland. And then we've got darker aqua, which is thinner. The bright aqua is like 2 to 2.5 meters thick. And then right around the coastline is where we've got just a tiny bit of red, yellow, and green. The green is 3 meters thick. The red is about 4 meters thick. The dark red, which I don't know if we have any, is about 5 meters thick. So that's virtually gone. Those the thickest ones are, see how they've gone way down. And then here in the Beaufort Sea, it's just, when you see the white in there, lots of open water as this is collapsing all the way across. And the sea ice this year, we're not seeing a tail over here in the Beaufort Sea. This is all melting, and the past couple of years we saw a tail kind of coming out that held on to the aqua ice kind of through the season, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that this year. And then here's a hole right here, and then here in this East Siberian Sea, here's a big hole, and you can see the purples. Here's the Laptev Sea, and melting in, and the dark blue, navy blue, that's like 1.25 meters thick. The dark purple, like right here, that's about 1 meter thick. The dark aqua is about 1.5 meters thick. So that's where we're at right now. And you know, this is going to keep melting. High melt runs through, I don't know, mid-August, and then it starts slowing down. It continues to melt until around mid to around mid-September to around September 19th is where it usually reaches the minimum. So here's the 30-day animation. This was updated to hold on. Okay, I'm back. I had to take a little pause there. Anyway, this was updated to the 21st. So the data goes back 3 weeks, and the forecast goes out to the 28th, which is Friday coming up. So we've got one more week in July, and then a week and a day in July, and then we'll be into August. So, you know, it melts really fast in July and through about the first week or two in August, and then it starts slowing down. It keeps melting, but slows down. So this is just, you know, it's pretty scary to see it all go this fast, isn't it? When you see just a month ago we had aquas out here. So see these tributaries, those are clearing out. So yeah, they'll be able to make their Northwest Passage cruises for $32,000 each. They'll be able to go on their adventure cruises. This nearest strait is opening up. And you see it's just diminishing down to just to little nubs. Look at that. Okay, I'll stop it. Okay, here we are at the end of the model. So next Friday, where you see all this white, I mean, there's so much open water, and the ice that you see, you'll be shocked at how little ice there really is. Here's the Beaufort Sea, so it's still got a little bit of the dark blue and purple in there. Here's a hole opening up just above Canada. Here at the North Pole, it's showing the dark blue moving into the purple, so that's about 1 meter thick. About 1 meter, 1.25 meters thick. And see, the bright aqua is just shrinking down to this little band. And see the dark aqua, see it's melting in as it's shrinking down. And considering they've got rain up here today, you know, that's not going to help matters any. Still have some about 1 meter ice here in the North Kara Sea. Maybe not quite that thick. And so this will all be melting down too. There's that. Here's the Beaufort sea ice thickness. This is for yesterday, the 22nd. Here's Canada on the right. And we can see the reds are gone along these islands. And we've got a little hint of red right up here. Bright red, that's about 4 to 4.5 meters thick. Yellow, that's about 3.75 meters thick. The green is about 3 meters thick. So just a little bit, and then a little bit of aqua here, and then it's, you know, going into the darker aqua. So this is opening up from the Chukchi area, really. It's a little bit thicker to the right, but I'm thinking this is all going to melt out. And big area of open water around the coastlines here. And here's the 30-day animation. And this was updated to the 22nd, so the forecast goes out to Saturday. So you can see it thinner up here in this Chukchi area, but thinning way down here in the central part of the Beaufort Sea, and just it's really diminishing. So there's that. And here's the Antarctic sea ice thickness. This is for yesterday. And see the aqua. This is the majority of the thicker ice here, and it's in the Weddell Sea, just along this western peninsula. And see, it's thin and open. Parts of it are open around this Weddell ice shelf. Here's some open here. This is next to the Brunt ice shelf. Then down here in the Ross Sea, see it's thickening into the darker blue, but see the white. It's open right around the ice shelf there. And we're getting some aquas around the coastlines as it's thickening up a little bit. Here's the 30-day animation, and this was updated to yesterday, so the data goes out to, it was updated to Friday, so the data, so the forecast goes to Friday coming up. So we can see the extent moving out on this north side. See little fringe ice coming out there, and on this east side, and it's coming out a little bit more on the west side. And this is the Ross sea ice thickness, and so the coastline is right down here. You can see the white where there's open water right up to right next to, that's the Ross ice shelf where it's right next to it. And then I'm thinking because it's warmer there, and then because it thickens up the further you go out. And here's the 30-day animation, and this was updated to the 22nd, so the forecast goes out to Saturday the 29th. So thickening, we're seeing some thickening going on here in the forecast period. So there's that. Okay, this is National Snow and Ice Data Center, Arctic sea ice concentration. This is as of yesterday. And this correlates with our other models. And see, any shade of blue means there's melting, and there's very little white, meaning it's fully concentrated. But see, right up here, up by Ellesmere Island, Greenland, there's some kind of melting going on. North Pole, see the darker blue, that's where it's really collapsing. So we're seeing huge areas that are collapsing all at the same time and melting all the way across. And here's the extent chart. And we're kind of running parallel with 2012. We're still above 2012 for extent, but we're well below the median. But it's a pretty steep angle down. Here's the Antarctic. We can see it's below the median. See, the brown line is the median. See, it's well below the median on the north side and on this west side of the Western Peninsula, and on the southern side and east side as well. Here's the refreeze chart. And it's this angle is kind of drooping for this last day or two, and see, it had been going up at a steeper angle, but it looks like it's drooping now. And this is last year. We're well below last year. And that was well below the median. So we're still at record lows here. That's all of those. Now, before we go to NASA Worldview, I have to warn you that the satellite view, they don't have that data for the last few days for whatever reason, and so we can't look at the satellite view, but we'll do what we can. Also, before I go there, this is their July report on the Greenland ice sheet from National Snow and Ice Data Center, and this was posted on July 19th, and they did acknowledge that it's a sudden shift to southern heat, and okay, I'm just going to read this one paragraph, and I'll leave the link and y'all can look at it if you want. It says, late June ushered in a significant shift in weather and melting for Greenland, particularly for the southern portion of the ice sheet known as South Dome, where melting is currently on a record pace. Melting along the northern rim of the ice sheet is also greater than average. These changes are a result of a shift in the air circulation associated to negative North Atlantic Oscillation Index values. High air pressure now covers the island, bringing warm winds from southwest and favoring sunnier condition, enhancing the surface melt in the ablation zone, for which the extent is now close to the previous records in the summers of 2012 and 2019. And then they go into detail. I don't know if they talk about the rain and the snow, but you know, the precipitation makes a big difference on the melting. Record pace of melting at South Dome. And they've got all these charts and things. Greenland catches the wave. And so on. Here's an ice cliff during the melting event. Look at that. I mean, I could only imagine, you know, you're watching the ice just break off and fall down into the ocean. Huge areas. So it would be really dramatic. So I'll leave that link. Okay, so here we go. And just to show, here we are on NASA Worldview. I'll refresh. And it's black. And there was a notification up here, and it says this was posted July 21st, which was Friday. There's an issue with the delivery of the near real-time Terra Modis, Aqua Modis, and Suomi NPP VIIRS corrected reflectance imagery and other NRT imagery from those sensors. We apologize for the inconvenience. Well, we don't know how long it's going to last or anything, but there's nothing for Oh, I've got the fire layer on. We can see fires there. Here's the fires for the 21st. Let me turn that layer off. I want to show you nothing. See, nothing for the 21st. Here was the last. So we'll look at it on for the 20th, which was Thursday. And then we can also look at, let's go back. Here we are on the 23rd. And I wanted to show sea ice concentration. Okay, they've got that model up. So here we can see where it's melted and where it's melting. And I'll turn on the blue marble layer. That's a little more appealing. When you're looking at things. So here we are today, and look at all this. Once you get into the greens, yellows and greens, it's so much open water. I mean, it's collapsing. And then we've got this melting all the way across, and I don't see any in the white zone here, meaningful concentration. So everything is in some stage of melt here. So let's go back to the 16th, which was last Sunday, and we'll just click through and we can see what's happened. So here we were last Sunday. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, look at that, Thursday, Friday, look at that, look at the change from Thursday to Friday up here, from the reds to the greens. Here's Saturday, and here we are today, Sunday. So a lot of melt going on. And now we'll turn that one off. We'll turn that one off. And so if you want to see Thursday, here's the smoke coming up from Canada and over the Beaufort Sea there. Look, missing data there. Maybe that's when it started. Here, I'll refresh. Yeah, missing data started there. And see the smoke coming up from the Russia side here. Here's Greenland. It was raining here. Let's see. Here's smoke here over the Baffin Bay. And I don't have my mouse hooked up tonight, so I'm just using my tracker ball. See the melting along the coastline there. See that? Here's the hole by Greenland. Here's the Lincoln Sea. Here's the nearest strait. See. That's flowing through. See, that's broken up and flowing through, definitely. And see how the ice turns gray? That's from the melting. Once it starts melting, it's not white anymore. It turns to gray and even black in some areas. Let's see. Here's the Baffin Bay. See, that's open. All of that. Here are these tributaries. Here's smoke. Here's the Beaufort Sea. See, this is open water here by the coast. Look at this huge thing of smoke. This is terrible for the sea ice. So that's why you've got this gray tinge over everything. It's a thin layer of smoke that we're having to look through. So here's this collapse of the Beaufort Sea going on. Here's Alaska. There's Barrow. Here's a cut and paste. There's the Bering Strait. A lot of clouds here. Let's go back. See, here's the Chukchi Sea. See how that's collapsing. And then coming up, here's Siberia. Here's more smoke. This is open. See, look at this sea ice. It's just wispy. See what I'm talking about, the quality. When you see the purple and the light and the lavender, this is what it looks like. There's a lot of just wispy and mushy ice and just pieces. And, you know, this is going to go fast. Here's open. Big area of open water here. See. This is just going all the way across. Okay, let's look at the Laptev Sea. Kind of hard to see it. Here we are. See, that's open. Open water. Open, open. It was the 19th, 18th. But that's open. These are clouds that you're seeing. Okay, there's Taimyr Peninsula. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. And see, this is open all around here now. Smoke. See the gray? This is smoke coming up. Here's the Vovolov ice cap. Look at this. You can see the break there. There's the ice where it's broken off, and here's where it's flowing into the ocean there. There, see. Here's comes some mollets. This is where we see the methane coming up. Oops. Where it was just billowing on the verge of hemorrhaging right around here. See, this is open. Here's the ice edge down here. So that's really melted back. Here's some ice in the North Kara Sea. Not much. And then this is open down here. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the Barents Sea. That's open. Okay, here's Svalbard. Look at, we've got smoke coming up to Svalbard. Svalbard. Let's see. That's open. Here's some ice on the north end, and there's a little bit of ice coming up. Here's Franz Josef Land, and then this is the east side of the ice. See, it's melted in here. See if what we can see. Here's the North Pole. We've got clouds. Can't really see the ice because of the clouds. But, okay. Let's see, here's something. Can't really make it out. There's too many clouds. But just suffice it to say it's melting. Okay, let's come down here. Okay, Ellesmere Island. You can see it starting to melt here. And remember, this was Thursday, and we saw rain right up here today. So, man, sorry that the satellite view is down, but you know, we'll see the aftermath when it comes back up. Let's see, see the melting here. That's in high melt. So that's kind of the state of the sea ice up here. Let's go. So where was it raining? I forgot. Precipitation. Okay. So this is a wide area of rain today. All across this northern part. Okay. So the rain is going from this island all the way across the coast by Ellesmere and over by Greenland. So right over what's left of the thicker sea ice and thickest sea ice as well. So there's that. And I thought what we do on the Antarctic is just go through our model here so we can see. This is sea ice concentration here. So here we are today, and so here's the Western Peninsula, and here's the Ross Sea down here, Weddell Sea up here. So let's see what it's done this week. Here we were last Sunday. Okay. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Look, we got a hole down here on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's growing back. We're getting some extent increase up here. It's Friday. Here's Saturday. And here's today. So a little bit of regrowth today. So that's about all I can show here. And now for earthquakes, we've got 192 worldwide right now. The biggest ones are some 5s. I'm not seeing any 6s. We've got 5.1 Java, Indonesia. We have one, Russia doesn't report many earthquakes. We've got a 4.5 here. It's just north of the Kamchatka. It's on the north end of Kamchatka. That came in 7:13 this morning Pacific time. It looks about, I mean, it's a pretty quiet earthquake day. We've got a couple here in the Gulf of California. That's on the Imperial Fault Line, 2 4.1s. But like I said, it's pretty quiet. We've got, here's an unusual one, 3.8 Chino Valley, Arizona. That's kind of high. We don't normally see them in Arizona. Here's Central America. Now I want to look at 7 days, all magnitudes, real quick. And I was able to start my recording a lot earlier tonight, which is better because I'm not falling asleep. If I start too late, I get so tired I'm falling asleep. So I'm going to try and start earlier on recording. So we had this week 1,891 earthquakes worldwide. We had one right up by Greenland, an Arctic earthquake, just east, just next to the hole in the sea ice there. It's on the plate line 4.5. That was on the 20th. And they called it north of Svalbard. Svalbard's here. But it was just next to Greenland in the Fram Strait. And then in the North Atlantic, just south of Greenland, 4.6, Reykjanes Ridge. And that was all of those earthquakes. As for big ones, let's see what we had. Here's some 5s down by Fiji. 6.6 on land in Argentina. Loncopué, Argentina, on the 16th, which was last Sunday. That was at 8:05 last Sunday Pacific time. Here's one at the top of the Cocos Plate, 5.6. So on. I think that one in Argentina was the largest one this week. Let's go 7 days, 4.5 magnitude or higher. So 75 worldwide of 4.5 magnitude or higher. So 4.5 Austin, Nevada. Oh yeah, that was, I remember that. That was on the 19th. Out in the desert. And we've got a couple up here in the Aleutian Islands. So here's the west side of the Pacific. There are 43 here. These are 4s and 5s. Yeah, so this one in Argentina was the biggest one this week. Northern Peru, 5.0. South Sandwich Islands, 5.4. Southern East Pacific Rise, 5.2. And so on. So you get the idea. So that's my report for tonight. And now we'll continue in our Bible reading. I like to bring things back to a spiritual perspective when we are talking about the end of everything, collapse of everything. And I believe we are in the end times in the Bible. And I'm just making my way through the Bible one chapter at a time and recording it, so eventually I'll have the whole Bible recorded and posted, as part of my shows. And this one way people can read the Bible if they're not used to it before. So we're reading out of the book of Job. This is in the Old Testament, and we're almost done. One more chapter after this one. And so Job had been tested by Satan. God had allowed it, and Satan had done everything he could to try and get Job to renounce God, to turn his back on God, and he never did. And God kept calling him his faithful servant, Job. So God is still talking to Job here. Job chapter 41. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird? Or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the comparisons make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down, even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up, or who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment? Or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together that they cannot be sundered. By his neesings a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold. The spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp-pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Job chapter 41. So I hope everyone has as good a week as possible, and just hunker down and, do your best. Just do your best and say your prayers. And prayers are like tractor beams to God and to heaven, and that opens the doors so that God can work in your life. And without the prayers, it's harder for God to work in your life. And so, you really need to be praying, even if it's a little short prayer. It doesn't matter. As long as you're saying a prayer, you've got the door open so God can work in your life. So if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it before it's too late. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you. And Lord willing, I'll be back here next Sunday with another weekly update. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.